Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Rhotic podcast. I'm your host, John Reed, and joining me to talk about all the CW superheroes, including Flash and Arrow and Supergirl, as usual, from San Diego, Dennis Bethalkis. How's it going, Dennis?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, John?
I'm good. It's fun because we've been kind of doing these 2 weeks at a time lately, and I liked a lot of the lead up to what happened this week. Like I liked the episode of Arrow, for example, where Felicity and Oliver were working through their stuff, and it was like getting them out of the bunker essentially. When I liked that episode a lot more than the recent episode, even though the most recent episode had some cool little moments in it. And so I feel like it had been building, and this week kind of took all of them seemed very fillery, except for maybe the Flash, which I think is hitting on all cylinders. So I'm happy to be here talking about this stuff. How are you doing?
Good. I mean, I was in the reason why we couldn't do it last week was I was in Vegas for a family event.
So, how'd that go?
It went okay. I mean, it was just a reception. That's all it was. So nothing big.
Did you win big in Vegas?
No, I bet all of $7, and then of course I bet on my hotel accommodations too. So, and I lost.
Oh, that's no good. Well,
yeah.
Hopefully this podcast will be a winner for you. So let's what show do you want to start with? I'm thinking that maybe we'll start with Arrow and get the bitching out of the way so we can get to more interesting stuff maybe.
Sure. Why don't we can go backwards? We can do Arrow, Flash, and then Supergirl.
Sounds great.
How about that?
Oh, it sounds perfect. So yeah, Arrow, like I said, I really liked the episode where the EMP went off and Felicity was without her legs because the spinal implant went out with the electricity bomb, and the rest of the team's trying to get him out, and you get that reveal at the end that Adrian Chase has tracked down Oliver's son. I liked that episode a lot. It felt very contained, like the story was contained without the episode feeling unnecessary, and it was just a very focused episode. Whereas the episode we got this week, when you've got like Wild Dog not showing up to his trial for his kid, and like you had Thea coming back to town, and these like unnecessary revelations about their father, and like it just felt very bloated in a lot of ways.
Well, it's unnecessary for now, but it's going to tie into the story in some kind of flashback or something, because I'm
sure
assuming it's going to be tied into a flashback, at some point in time.
I hope so.
I did like, I don't know why, but for some reason Wild Dog and Quentin together, they work as a team. It's on screen. Apart they kind of suck as characters on their own, but together they're actually not bad.
I agree. I was digging the characters. The storyline is annoying. The idea that Wild Dog would like have this revelation in this very kind of emotional episode we got a few weeks ago, and decide to like step up and be there for his daughter, and then when the time comes he just bails again. I get like the rationale, like the show actually did a pretty good job of like explaining the rationale and where his head was at the moment in each of those episodes. It's just the same thing Arrow does, which is like dangle stuff and then knock it, and then dangle the same thing and then knock it away, and then dangle the same thing and then knock it away and then dangle the same. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
and then they resolve it, and then it goes away for a couple episodes and then it comes back again.
Yeah, totally. I have to say though, the one thing I'm really digging, and she doesn't get nearly enough screen time, I love the new Canary. I think she's a total badass. Like I don't love that they had her carrying guns in this episode that we just watched, but
cop.
Yeah. She had like a it wasn't just a normal cop gun, right? When she's
245s. She had 245s she was using.
It was crazy, like in the chemical plant. Anyway, so I think the actress is good for the role, and I think it works. I don't know. What do you think about the new Canary?
I like the new Canary a lot. I just kind of found it annoying that when that guy was getting ready to, was aiming at her, and Arrow comes in and takes out the guy, who was targeting her.
Yeah.
She didn't think about using her Canary voice at all. There's some really stupid things in this episode. Like, I think now that everyone on the team should be outfitted with a Mr. Terrific, with one of the T-spheres, because they do so much.
Yeah.
That it should be like a don't leave home without it kind of thing, because like we saw, they got trapped in a pit that was filling with cement, and all that Mr. Terrific did was he used on the T-spheres to cut a hole in the ceiling, and they got out.
Yeah, you're right. If they had just had that on their own and they just said, "Hey, T-sphere, cut a hole in the thing above me," like I still don't know how they take commands. Like it hasn't been explained to us really how they know what to do.
I think it was supposed to be he's a like a technopath, and he's supposed to control it with his mind, if I remember correctly.
So did he
it was supposed to be his power.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, I think that's what it was supposed to be, and that's how it was. I think in the comics, it's been a while since
the origin of Mr. Terrific.
Yeah,
I don't know how you log that stuff away anyway. Like the origin of even some of my favorite characters, I'm not so sure of.
Trust me, it happens when you've owned a comic book and you have to talk about comics ad infinitum. It gets stuck.
I come at it from much more of the TV side of things, which we're if you guys aren't watching it, we have Gary and I have a American Gods podcast or show every week after the episode on Saturdays, and not a lot of people loved what we had to say about the last episode. And I think maybe it's because I'm coming at it from a more of a TV point of view rather than like I'm not giving it any credit for adapting the book, really. I'm just saying, like, is this an entertaining show? Is it doing a good job of being a good TV show? And I think that's where it's falling right now. Anyway, so
it's already been renewed anyway. So
exactly. But I'm I come at these things from more of a, like, I know the comics, I've read the comics, like a lot of these at least, and I don't lock it away like you do, but I'm much more my knowledge comes much more from like going to film school and working in the entertainment industry and watching just tons of television. So a lot of times but I'm comparing it a lot to other TV shows and not comic books, especially with Arrow right now. It's just kind of like it's not firing on like season 2 Arrow or Daredevil type levels for what this show is trying to do.
No, it's very it's not bottom of the barrel, but it's more it's not Fox quality, which actually is better than some of the stuff that Arrow does.
If you had to rank right now, because you're watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. still, right?
Yeah, unfortunately,
you're watching Gotham still, right?
I am watching Gotham. Gotham is just a train wreck that for some reason it's funny as hell and it's crazy.
So if you were to rank these 3 CW shows and then Gotham and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., would any of the CW shows fall below either of the other 2 shows for you?
Well, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the bottom of that list.
Okay.
So no matter what,
nothing would be above. I mean, it would be above anything.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Okay.
And Gotham actually has a lot going for it, to tell you the truth. It's got some really good production value, but it's Fox. So
if I skipped season 1 of Gotham, I'd still have an idea of what was going on and I could enjoy it on just a ridiculous level.
Yeah. I mean, watch the last like 3 episodes of season 1 and you'll get the gist of what's going on into season 2. And then it's just going to be nutty from there. Yeah.
Cool. I might do that.
Just don't try and compare it to the comics, or as Gary gets really pissed off about it, he's like, he thinks about it from the Batman universe.
Yeah.
If you try and relate everything to the Batman universe,
you have to divorce it from that.
You really have to divorce yourself from it and just go along for the ride of the insanity of it.
So speaking of insanity, let's get back, I guess, to this Prometheus storyline. So we've kind of gone over some of the side characters. We haven't talked a ton about Mr. Terrific yet. We haven't talked much about Argus and everything going on with Diggle and his wife. And we really haven't touched on Oliver. But before we get there, what did you like? How did you feel about Theo returning? I know you love her.
Blessedly, it was short-lived. I think she was only in it for 5 minutes?
Yeah, she didn't have a lot of screen time.
But when she did that whole angry thing when she was going after the lawyer, and Oliver's like, no, calm down,
Yeah.
held on to the leash, and I was just like,
Yeah.
really, we're gonna go through this bullshit again? It's
Yeah, I wonder where they're going with that character going into next season. Like, are they gonna try to work her back into the show, or are they basically just phasing her out? I can't really tell.
She is gonna have the same amount of episodes as who played Canary, Black
Oh yeah.
Canary,
Yeah.
because she's coming back as Dark Canary or whatever it is.
Yeah. Okay, so it'll be the same kind of. She'll come and go throughout the season.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess let's get into the heart of what's going on Arrow. So Adrian Chase Prometheus, it really didn't move forward much other than he's weaponizing tuberculosis and something to do with he's made contact with Oliver's son, and now he's in prison. He kind of sacrificed himself to Oliver at the end of the episode.
Yeah, it's a ploy. There's something in. I more than likely was going to do. He's going to bust out all the people in Argus. Is what this is all about, and he's going to use Oliver's son as the bargaining chip.
Because we did find out that because of what he's done, all of the cases he prosecuted were overturned. So all the criminals that he and Oliver had put behind bars together earlier in the season, they're all back out on the streets. And he's kind of assembled a team of like small-time crooks and small-time supers. But you're thinking maybe he's going to go after the Suicide Squad type villains and break them out.
Basically what he wants to do is he wants to show Oliver that he's failed the city kind of thing,
right.
by bringing the whole city down. Again, it's the whole Damien Dark thing all over again, destroying the city. It's the Batman thing. We're going to destroy Gotham, which, by the way, is also happening in Gotham.
Is this supposed to be, is Prometheus supposed to be the Joker? Like in this Batman analogy? Is that what they're going for?
I honestly don't know, to tell you the truth. I think he's supposed to be like the Dark Archer, is
or
what
the Court of Owls or something. Yeah,
there was a whole storyline in Green Arrow of the Dark Archer, and I think that's what Prometheus is supposed to be.
Because that was kind of how they made Merlin in season 2. It was kind of the Dark Archer story.
Well, yeah, he called himself the Dark Archer at one point, and then I don't know, they brought in Prometheus. It's all kinds of weird. And the thing is, they name this guy Adrian Chase, who's not his real name. It's Sam Morrison. Remember, they reminded us of that in this episode.
Because we're going to get the real Adrian Chase next season with.
The real Adrian Chase with Vigilante, because we're going to hear Vigilante is supposedly going to be worked in as the major storyline in next season.
Yeah. So here's the thing about Arrow. I still like I don't look forward to it, but I still enjoy it when I watch it just on a like, okay, that was it. I don't have that visceral hatred I think that maybe I had earlier in the season, and that I think a lot of other people have had with the show. And maybe I've just given up expecting it to get back to season 2 type standards. And
you've gone into ennui.
Yeah, exactly. I do really wish that they would have that they would break from this kind of small time storyline. I don't know why they keep it so like, hey, these are these crooks robbing this thing, instead of when they had the trickster and like that third season. I really enjoyed because the villains they brought in were all big time, but they kind of took that and gave it to Flash, and now they're just dealing with a lot of street level stuff.
Yeah, it's money. I know it's definitely money. I mean, that's why Supergirl and Flash to me are a lot more fun, is because they do deal with the super powered. Yeah, and Arrow is getting more of just, like you said, street thugs and things like that, and it's boring. Yeah. I mean, and I think once Vigilante comes in, I'm hoping anyway that it's going to ramp back up again, because Vigilante is actually a really cool character.
Yeah. How different is Vigilante from, say, Guardian on Supergirl?
Oh, night and day. Completely different. Yeah. Vigilante, think of Vigilante is more like DC's Punisher.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So what Adrian Chase kind of seemed like earlier this season until they turned him into Prometheus.
Yes.
Okay. So this Felicity, Oliver romance. The show works better when they're together and they're working at a high level, right? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. There's a lot of things the show needs to fix. One of them, they just need to get rid of Renee. Let him die. Let him die a hero's death. Do it so it focuses the rest of the team. Give Canary, the new Canary, a bigger role. Let us see a little bit more of her. Have Quentin go back into rehab or something like that, because Renee's death or something. So we get rid of him. Have Mr. Terrific become Mr. Terrific. And go full on Mr. Terrific. Felicity and Aaron Oliver get together. Do that. And
the show has so much going on. It just doesn't feel like it needs a will they won't they between the two main characters.
Yeah, it's kind of like they've got all these parts and they don't know what to do with it because they're not familiar with the characters, what it feels like.
Yeah.
Or the characters.
You can have a successful relationship without it. I feel like they think they need conflict between those two characters or the audience will get bored with the relationship dynamic. But you have so many characters and so many dynamics that you can solidify one and it'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there are lots of shows where like How I Met Your Mother, the Allison Hannigan, Jason Segel relationship stays relatively solid throughout the course of the show. And it doesn't take away from the other relationships on that show. And I just feel like you can do that here. You've got a lot going on. You don't need to separate these two.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what are you thinking the finale is gonna look like? Where do you think this is going?
I think it's going to end with all of Argus criminals being released and attacking Star City.
Oh, that'll be cool. I hope that there's some superpowers in there.
Well, yeah, and then I think what's going to happen is we're going to have Vigilante coming in. Dan.
Are there any crossovers coming in the last couple episodes? Is Flash going to show up on Arrow? Or are they keeping this stuff secret at this point? Do we know if anything's crossing over?
I don't think anything else is crossing over now.
I could see something just small happening where Flash shows up to help or vice versa.
I know that Flash, what happens in Flash is supposed to affect what happens in DC's Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, interesting. That would be very interesting.
They mentioned that in the this week's episode.
Right. Well, we get Snart next episode. So let's transition over to The Flash because this is the show that I am enjoying the most. I've always kind of enjoyed the most. Supergirl's had some high points, definitely. And Legends of Tomorrow has had some high points, definitely. But overall, Flash is the most solid of these shows, I think, because it's more optimistic. The show itself is more comic book driven, more superhero driven. And it's more stable than Legends of Tomorrow because it's in one setting, one place, even if it's through time. And the Savitar reveal, let's talk a little bit about it. You predicted it. I think a lot of people predicted it. Not exactly, but at least that it was going to be Barry's image under the suit. Time remnant. So what? Go for it. What do you think of all the Savitar stuff?
I think it's silly. It's just absolutely silly. I don't know where to go with it, tell you the truth.
Does it ruin anything for you? Like, does the fact that it's a time remnant future version of Barry that seemingly the only weakness it has is if you wipe Barry's mind so it doesn't know what's going on? Like, does that take away from kind of the good aspects of what this show has done well over the last few seasons?
I found the whole thing silly of why would Caitlin trust him? Because she just automatically, it was just like she saw him, was like, okay, I'm in.
That was my point. Like, I didn't think it was going to be him because Caitlin's not that tied to Barry. And like evil Caitlin, why would she be swayed by evil Barry? Like, it just didn't really make any sense to me. Maybe she was like, oh, it's another evil version of our team. Like, you would know what I'm going through, or I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I really hate when the Flash delves into the Speed Force kind of stuff because they don't know what to do with it again, and it becomes really messy.
The Speed Force cannon was pretty cool though.
Was the Speed Force bazooka?
Yeah, the Speed Force bazooka. Here's
and
what
the
I
reveal.
say. I know that you're not going to agree with me on this, but Caitlin and Julian is one of my favorite things in this show right now. The Killer Frost is just cool in general, and I like that they brought in this other scientist to replace Caitlin on like Team Flat, like good Team Flash, and that like Caitlin's out there as kind of like a rogue element. And I just think that there's some capable acting going on between the two of them. I really enjoy that facet of the show at the moment, and
really?
I think it's mostly because of Caitlin. But I'm
that was one of the most painful scenes. I think. I love you. Well, I don't love you.
yeah. But
the elevator doors close dramatically.
You loved elevator scenes. Oh, you only like funny elevator scenes, not dramatic elevator scenes. No. I'm just giving you a hard time. But
I know.
Look, I liked everything leading up to that. I liked that that moment where like Cisco's pulling Caitlin back by telling that story and kind of gauging her reaction, and that Julian's kind of like it's like the two of them are able to pull her in different directions to keep Killer Frost like at bay for moments, and you're getting an idea of how much of control each of the personalities have over that body. Plus, it just the image of Killer Frost looks really fucking cool.
Yeah, I just it doesn't do anything for me. Actually, what I really enjoyed in this episode, to tell you the truth, was HR and Tracy.
Yeah, HR
that relationship. There was actually a lot of chemistry between the two actors.
Yep.
And they played it really well. I mean, the comedic aspects of it, and she's almost a female version of him.
Yes.
You know, the scatterbrained kind of thing.
I kind of compare it to like the Anya and Xander dynamic in Buffy. Like they're both kind of comedic side characters that have some gravity to them at times and purpose, and they maybe shouldn't work because of their similarities, but they do. Like I agree. I'm loving it.
And I want more of that.
Do you think she is replacing Caitlin on the team? Like, do you think that going forward, Caitlin is out there on her own?
Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. I doubt it, because I think Danielle Panabaker's got a hefty contract going with that. So
yeah, but she can be killed. She could be the big bad next season. Like they could do a lot with Killer Frost just as Killer Frost.
They're gonna cure her at some point in time. And
so do you think this is going to be like an Angel Angelus situation where she's only Angelus every once in a while? Or do you think this is more of a Spike with a chip situation where she's usually evil, but she'll be good every once in a while?
You got to remember, you get rid of Savitar, you get rid of the Time Remnant, and Wally loses his powers. She goes back to becoming Caitlin and not Killer Frost.
Yeah.
All the people who have had these dual personalities because of a Flashpoint, it all goes away. In fact, Flashpoint goes away.
Right. Do you think that's where they're going with this?
I hope
they're going to undo the whole season.
They're going to have to, because it's messed up. And
see, I feel like they're going more into locking Flashpoint in place and throwing Savitar into the Speed Force again, and trapping him again somehow, but somebody will have to sacrifice themselves to do it or something.
Yeah, I kind of doubt that's going to happen. I think it's going to go where they're going to erase the time remnant. Somehow Barry's going to figure out where he needs to go back in time in Flashpoint and undo it, and coming back to, where Cisco's brother's still alive. You don't have Killer Frost anywhere near there. All that kind of stuff.
Why don't they just like get into a place, instantly wipe Barry's mind so they're both out of it, and then have Team Flash just take down Savitar?
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, I don't know.
It seems so easy. They found his weakness finally. And yeah, Killer Frost could potentially try to stop you, but maybe that fight between Vibe and Killer Frost happens during that as a distraction so that they can do something like that. And then the whole rest of the team, like Wally, everybody else takes him. Oh, Wally would lose his power if you did that.
Yeah.
still, I feel like there's a way you could do that. Maybe Wally doesn't want to lose his powers, though. Who knows? What do you think about Wally as a character if he's not Kid Flash, or where do you think that would
go? I honestly, the actor is a little bit annoying, to tell you the truth.
I agree.
Then he's not really fleshed out. I don't know.
You know what they're never gonna do, but what I would really love is like a 12-year-old kid who shows up with access to the Speed Force that Barry has to like train. Like a real Kid Flash.
That would be interesting, but yeah, they're never gonna do it.
I know. I just think it would be a little different than all these like teenager 20-somethings, doing like they're peers, and everyone's like essentially like this ambiguous 20-something in all of these shows. maybe ambiguous 30-something in Arrow, but you know what I mean? Like it's a little annoying that there's not a lot of age diversity on these teams, except for maybe Legend of Tomorrow.
Not a lot of racial diversity either, but that's a different thing.
Actually, I think they do a pretty good a decent job. I mean, you've got Amara, you've got Jackson, you've got Kid Flash, Iris, Joe.
Oh yeah, on Legends of Tomorrow, but I'm talking about if you look at Flash, there really isn't a lot of diversity. And
Joe, Iris, and Wally are all, and Cisco, almost the whole team.
I mean, even Arrow. I mean, Arrow doesn't have.
Arrow's the tough one. Well, no, because you've got Wild Dog. I don't know. I think they actually do a pretty good job relative to a lot of other.
Supergirl definitely doesn't have.
Yeah, Supergirl's got some problems.
Diversity.
So, what would be your ideal ending to this season? Not what you think they're gonna do, but like what you would do if you were in their position at this point.
Oh, God. Like I said, he'd have to go back, find that point in Flashpoint to fix it, to get rid of the remnant, and everything goes back. Because you got to remember, if he fixes Flashpoint, it fixes not only Flash, but Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It changes all of those.
That's why I don't think they're going to do it. I really don't. They're going to have to fix this some other way. I don't think they can erase all that stuff.
You never know.
That's true. You're right. I think it would be ballsy. That would be a ballsy thing to do, is to erase Flashpoint and go back to bringing kind of some of your other characters back, getting rid of powers for some of your characters, and kind of resetting.
Well, no, jumping back to the beginning of like the end of season 1.
Yeah. Iris and Barry aren't together. Like you'd have a lot of stuff that you'd have to redo. That would be very interesting. So before we, is there anything else you want to mention about Flash before we move on to Supergirl?
You got to remember, the other thing in Flash too is every time they kept going to the future and looking at it, they keep seeing different versions of the future.
Yeah.
When Savitar is killing Iris, in one, it was just Savitar killing Iris with Barry screaming no, because he couldn't get to her in time. That was the first time. Second time, we see HR with the Speed Force bazooka on the roof.
Yes, I want to challenge this, though, because we don't know if it's changing or if they're just seeing more of the same thing. Like, I think the way the show's been pitching it is more and more is coming into focus about it, but it's not changing yet.
Well, no, because when they went back and did it again, he was missing from the roof.
Huh, interesting. Okay.
So I think it's changing every time they try and change something, they change something about what they're going to do in the future.
But nothing that's actually fixing the major problem.
Exactly. And it's because the time remnant is Barry, and the problem is Barry again.
Yeah, because no matter what they change, the time remnant will know that they changed that thing.
Yeah. And I think what Barry just needs to do is not do anything.
Or wipe his mind and have everyone else deal with the situation. But you can only wipe his mind when you know where Savitar is, so you can get him. You can't just do it randomly, because then they're both just wandering around aimlessly and Killer Frost is pissed off, right? So like yeah, you can't, you have to do it like strategically. Okay, so before we move on to Supergirl, a little housekeeping. Head over to nerdrotic.com for all of our shows. And there you'll see that we have everything separated on the website. You can subscribe to us via WordPress over there. But the most important things right now are subscribing to us on iTunes and leaving a star review or a rating. That helps us a lot in the podcast, the audio podcast side of things. And then subscribing to, leaving comments, and liking our YouTube videos here at the YouTube Nerdrotic channel. You can just search Nerdrotic in YouTube and you can see all of our videos. It's all separated out. You can follow me on Twitter at JohnReed16. That's JONREED 16. You can follow Dennis at Duforce, DAFORCE. You can also follow our main Twitter feed, which Gary and Dennis both manage. It's at Nerdrotics with an S. And Melissa, our other co-host, is at Agent Bossy Boots. You can also follow us on Instagram. It's Nerdrotic on Instagram. Melissa has been doing a lot of really great work managing our Instagram account. There's a lot of cool content that she pushes out.
And also on Facebook.
Yeah, so finally, for all of our news posts, our comments about things happening in the news, all of the links to our YouTube videos, to the podcast, to the website. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/nerdroticpodcast. We're all interacting over there, so that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of us. But it's also just something that there's a lot of unique information and content there, unboxing videos, all sorts of stuff. So check us out.
Follow
again,
us, like us.
Yeah, it's facebook.com/nerdroticpodcast. And again, most importantly, right now we're trying to grow our audio podcast side of things, the YouTube. Those are the two really important ones. So Nerdrotic podcasts on iTunes and the Nerdrotic channel on YouTube.
And if you leave comments, we give you gifts.
Yeah, if you leave comments, especially on YouTube and iTunes, we give out prizes during some of our shows. So leave a comment, you may get a prize pack. We've already sent out, I think, 3 or 4 prize packs for people who were listening to the American Gods and the
Doctor Who
podcasts. The Doctor Who is the main one. Also, for all you Doctor Who fans out there, omaze.com has a Doctor Who contest going on right now. You can donate to support charity causes. When you donate, you get basically like coupons that, or like lottery tickets. And right now there's you get flown out to London and you have a breakfast with 6 doctors. Matt Smith and David Tennant are included in that. So please give. It's to a good cause. It's omaze.com/who.
And if Doctor Who's not your thing, they also have Star Wars as well. So you can
they've got all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So head on over there. It's really a great site to donate money, but also maybe get something back in return. Yeah. So, and very, very quickly, we are in the middle of planning our 100th episode of the Nerdrotic podcast. So all these recap shows are kind of their own numbering. If you're a comic book fan, these are different titles. The official Nerdrotic podcast we do every week. We haven't done it in a couple weeks because we've been planning a spectacular blowout for our 100th episode with some special guests. So stay tuned.
And Gary keeps threatening all nude as well. So
yeah, possibly all nude. Anyway, so just stay tuned for that. And if you want any more information, head over to facebook.com/nerdroticpodcast.
Just remember, John, you just got to work out just a little bit. That's all.
Exactly.
Do some push-ups.
Hey, I got to get ready for the wedding anyway. So, so let's talk about Supergirl a little bit. What you're the bigger Supergirl fan. So how have you dug the last couple episodes, Dennis?
While I like Terry Hatcher's, Rhea character, she's very, even though she's bringing a lot of Desperate Housewife, crap into it.
Sure.
It's going on a little too long. That's all. It needed to be maybe 2 episodes, and that was it. This 4-episode thing, yeah, it's dragging on too long. And pulling the wool over Lena Luthor's eyes to build a portal to bring in all the Daxamites to Earth and everything.
Yeah. That was a pretty spectacular ending, though. All the spaceships coming through the portal.
Yeah, but there were 2. It was just 2 spaceships, and
just copy and pasted them all.
That's all they did. They kept and paste. I started looking at it. Sorry, I come from the animator's eye. I was looking at it, and I'm like, same ship, same. And then they started doing the same patterns too, and I'm like,
yeah,
really? You got that bored where you just started doing the same patterns?
or a time crunch, I guess. But yeah, it's still like visually. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's funny too because when I go over to people's houses, you know how like the factory settings of TVs are like awful, and they usually have that like motion flow.
Oh,
like
I hate
the,
that. Yeah,
that makes like a bad like everything looks like a soap opera, and
yeah.
it just drives me crazy, and like I have to change everyone's TVs and turn it off for them because this is probably one of those things for you that like most people don't notice at all. They're like, oh, that's cool, spaceships, and you're like, hey, that's like a repeating copy and paste spaceship pattern.
Yeah, really? It's honestly it's like a dither pattern. I can just see the same pattern over and over and over again. It's just like, oh God.
Even in video games, people would get upset about that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I love, so here's the deal. Like I love the alliance between the unknowing alliance of Lena and Rhea. And like you said, I think Terry Hatcher is pretty great in that role. It has gone on a little long, although she hasn't had a lot of screen time in the episode she's in. So it's just kind of been dangling out there for a long time. Which I think is maybe a mistake. I think maybe if you had just consolidated it into more screen time in a couple episodes, it maybe would have bigger impact on what's going on, or impact of what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't love that we're not getting enough. Like the last couple episodes, Monel's been my favorite part of the season, and we haven't had a ton of him over the last couple episodes, which has been a bit of a bummer.
No, we haven't. And this whole thing about one of the things just kind of disturbed me too is it was a little thing. Monel walking down the street with his glasses on, in his disguise, eating an ice cream cone, and he thinks he sees his mom across the street coming out of the restaurant from Lena, having dinner with Lena. And all of a sudden he gets bumped by somebody like hard and like knocks his ice cream down. I'm like, wait, you have super strength, right? Yeah. So some random dude just bumps you and knocks down your ice cream, and it just didn't make sense
when
to
me. I was a kid, so I was always I've always wanted to work in movies or TV. When I was a kid, I used to make little Lego videos, like stop motion Lego videos with my friends and Star Wars movies and things like that. And I remember when I was like old enough to realize what TV, like what shows, like adult shows were about, I used to be like really intimidated by TV and movie making because I thought you actually had to be like an expert on like everything had to be perfect. Like if you were making a movie about Lincoln, you could like nothing, you weren't just guessing what Lincoln was going to say at a certain point. Like historically it had to be perfect, right? Like, and it's so funny when you get older and realize that these people making these shows are the furthest things from experts or continuity experts, and it's just like they don't even think, they just need something.
They're under a time crunch. Yeah,
it's hilarious how perspective can change over time, because that would, so like I think when I was younger, that would be something I'd be like, hey, these people suck. Like that's not how that would, you know what I mean? Like but now it's just like whatever, you're right, it's a little thing, but it's not a little thing because he's got fucking superpowers. If you bumped into him, you'd probably fall down.
Yeah, exactly. You bounce off. I mean, that's what I loved about the old Donner Superman movies, is even though Clark Kent was a bumbling, idiot, disguise,
yes,
he still was super powered. And like, I'm going to use a bad example. Superman 3, there's a bus coming at him and he holds out his hand and it basically stops the bus. It puts a big ass handprint in it and kind of walks away. He's a dick. He actually damages the bus and is like, oh, gotta go.
Yeah. And at this point, you should know what you're doing. Like in Buffy, I remember the early episodes of Buffy, which I talk about a lot because it's one of my favorite shows. But I remember those first episodes of Buffy, like she had a hard time like breaking down a door and like other things. And then as the show goes on, it's like, okay, Slayer strength, she'll be able to do that really easily. And so it was just kind of the show understanding what her powers were as it went on. And eventually they locked in and it was all very consistent. And I feel like we've gotten to a point in Supergirl, it's already locked in. The mythos is already locked in for decades that there's no real excuse for it, but it's a stupid thing, but they have to be more careful about it.
And they really haven't, I guess, fleshed out Monel's power set, to tell you the truth, on the show.
Like, is he as strong as Kara?
Can he fly too? Is he a flyer? Because I don't know if he is or not. We know that he's lead is his weakness. So, what does a pencil take him down?
That's graphite. So
that's true. It is graphite. But...
so Superman's gonna come at some point, right? Like he's in these final episodes at some point.
Yes, he's supposed to be in the finale.
So why? Like, is Lex gonna get out of jail? Like, what's the purpose of what's going on in this that's gonna lead to Superman coming in?
I think, with this portal that we have that showed up, that Lena has built, I think we're gonna have somebody else from a cosmic universe maybe showing up.
Gotcha.
A big guy.
Oh, right. No, we already kind of talked about it. Yeah, so let's talk about it. Like, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know any more spoilers of something that's upcoming, you can shut off the podcast now. Tune in next week. We'll be talking about all of these penultimate episodes. And thanks for joining us. For all of you who don't care about spoilers, let's talk about the big alien in the room. So it's Zod, right? Zod's going to be coming through this portal.
Kneel before Zod.
Yeah, so that's crazy that they're doing Zod and not just like Zod's wife, because it's Supergirl, so everyone has to be a woman on this show. But it's going to be Zod.
Yes, we're getting Zod. And it's nice. I mean, we've heard Mongol, we've heard Warworld mentioned, so it would be nice to have seen either Mongol or maybe even Darkseid throw something like that at us too. But having Zod in is just as good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of, the way that this show has been handling, I hope that this is the season of aliens and they're just throwing all the famous non monster, humanoid aliens at us this season. Martian, Miss Martian, and Rhea and Mon-El and Zod. Maybe that's what they're doing, and then next season it'll be a different theme. I'm kind of crossing my fingers for that because I'm not a big fan of the alien aspect of this. But that said, it is pretty cool that we're getting these just really high profile character, like Superman and Zod are going to be on Supergirl, the TV show.
We had Parasite too.
Yeah,
that was Parasite, a Superman villain. Metallo, yeah.
We had the Mxyzptlk.
We have Mxyzptlk, yes.
Yeah, there's been a lot of really interesting characters. So I'm liking the trajectory, even though for me I don't connect with the heart of the show like I do with Flash. I care more about the characters on Flash, even though Supergirl is just as much fun.
See, for me, what I'm getting at is, for what I'm getting from these shows, is that Arrow is the Batman show, the crime drama, if you will. Flash is the comic book, not even really true comic book. It's kind of crossing over into the dramedy kind of stuff too. And Supergirl is the sci-fi show, and Legends of Tomorrow is just a flat-out comic book.
It's Doctor Who.
It's it's not even the sci-fi. But Supergirl is hardcore sci-fi is where it's going, which I kind of like. That's what I like with the with this. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It is. I wish that I cared a little bit more about most of these characters. I was really attached to Winn in season 1, and I hate him in this season. So I don't have.
It's gotten better.
Yeah, I don't know. I still kind of. I really like Mon-El. I'm kind of hanging my hat on caring about what happens to Mon-El at this point.
I wouldn't hang your hat too much on him.
Great.
If what happens in the comics happens to him here, yeah, I wouldn't.
God damn it.
And Jimmy Olsen just needs to go back to Metropolis.
Yes, maybe Superman will take him home at the end of the season.
Yeah, that whole thing where he's talking to the kid, about friends and all that, and about growing up, and it's like, dude, kind of, if I had met you as a kid, I probably would have put your head in the toilet too, and just really, because it just, I don't know.
Yeah,
bullying is bad. I know bullying is bad. Yes, but sometimes
the actor is a little wooden.
Yeah, I mean, I usually like this guy. I've liked him in other things that he's been in. In this, I don't know what it is. I just really don't like his character.
Yeah, I agree. Is Calista Flockhart also, did we see her in the previews as well? Is she coming back?
She will be coming back for the finale as well, yes.
Interesting. Well, I think that these what I would say is that we didn't talk about it, but we got Deadpool's mask, Deathstroke's mask at the end of Arrow.
And
that
was a flashback though.
Yeah, during a flashback. So I'm not terribly excited about where Arrow is going. Like, I don't really care what happens with this premiere unless we get Deathstroke in there. But for the Flash and for Supergirl, I'm really excited to see how these seasons close out. I think that we're going to get some spectacle in there. And Flash, I've loved both season finales for the Flash. So, let's see if they go 3 for 3.
We are getting Deathstroke in Arrow.
We are.
Yes.
Not in a flashback?
It's going to be the flashback more than likely, is what I'm getting. I don't know for sure, tell you the truth. We might have him back on the island. I know that there was a whole thing about Manu Bennett, who is filming in New Zealand. For some reason, both Stephen Amell and one of the producers were showing this guy dressed as Deathstroke on the set of Arrow, and they're like, "Hey, Manu Bennett's back, welcome." And Manu Bennett's like, "I'm in New Zealand. You guys are in Vancouver. What the hell, man?"
They were probably they had the mask in that scene, and they were probably just.
No, they had somebody dressed. I mean, there's footage of a guy dressed as Deathstroke running. So,
that's so weird. That's so strange. Anyway, so
and then we also have King Shark.
Oh, yeah.
About that.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So they need a power source to power the Speed Force bazooka. And the only place that they can get this power is from an object being guarded by King Shark.
Correct.
So
yes,
Captain Cold and Barry are going to go on a heist to get this object from King Shark in the second to last episode of the season. That's pretty awesome, right? Like, that's on a when we were looking at Gorilla City, this looks like more fun than even Gorilla City was, right?
Yeah. King Shark is one of my favorite characters that they brought to life on after the disappointment of Grodd, what they did with Gorilla City. I'm kind of glad to see King Shark coming back again, because a little more simple. We don't have to deal with the whole city full of apes. It's just one character. Guarding a power source.
What is the powers? It looks like a tesseract or something. Like, what is that thing?
I think it's supposed to be something from like Atlantis or something like that. That's what it looks like.
Because I was like, are we supposed to know what this thing is? Like, have we seen it before?
I don't remember it, to tell you the truth. Maybe it came from Flashpoint.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, blame it on Flashpoint.
It's another remnant.
We'll have shirts made. Blame it on Flashpoint. Yeah. So, any last thoughts?
We could have shirts say, "Don't blame me. I didn't cause Flashpoint."
Yeah. Oh God.
That was my last thought on that one.
Don't blame us. Blame Flashpoint. You want to lead us out, Dennis?
Yeah. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out, America.
Awesome. Bye, everybody. Come back next week.
Everyone.